So here we're given this triangle that kind of looks like a right triangle, but you'll see there's a note that it's not drawn to scale. And we're asked to compare this angle x to 90 degrees. And that's, of course, your clue that it is close to a right triangle. And also the other clue is that you should recognize that it's kind of related to the 6, 8, 10 triangle. That's the Pythagorean triple. But one comment I want to make is that once you know the three sides of a triangle, then the internal angles are unique, which means we may not know the value of what this angle x is, but we do know that it would be some number, which means that it has to be either greater than 90 or less than 90. So we know it has to be between choice A or B. Can't be equal. Equal would have been if this was a 6, 8, 10 triangle, and it can't be D either. But now next we have to argue as to whether it would be greater or less. And for that, you have to start with the 6, 8, 10 triangle, which is the 90-degree angle here. So 6, 8, 10. So these numbers are given as a clue, and also this choice, so you recognize that it is kind of related to the 6, 8, 10 triangle. Now what we have to see is that if we were to keep these other two sides the same dimension as this triangle, 6 and 10, what happens to the third side? So the way I'd like to think about this is, let me actually call these A, B, and C. The point B to C, that's your hypotenuse. So I'm going to preserve it to be 10. So imagine it's this side is pinned here, and I'm going to rotate it in this circle, meaning I can take this and move it here, or I can take it and move it here. In all these cases, the length of that segment remains 10, because that's the condition I need to satisfy here. And this also I'm going to keep here fixed. Now, if we move it in this direction and connect it to point A, let's call it C prime, in this case, you would notice that this length would become less than 8, because 8 is this perpendicular length. So in this case, it would be less than 8. Whereas if I go in this direction, and if I connect these point, call it C double prime, then in that case, this length would be actually greater than 8. Now, if you notice in the question, this is given to us as 7, which means we are moving the hypotenuse in this direction. That means that this opening, which was 90 degrees to begin with, will now be greater than 90 degrees. So we know that x has to be greater than 90 degrees, which means quantity A is greater, and the answer is choice A.